Hi, I'm Annabelle Geiser, a freshman here at Mason High School. I had the opportunity to talk with some amazing teachers here at MHS. They told me about all the changes that these teachers have seen in the past 20 years.
Our culture here at Mason has become way more diverse than it was early on. Before you guys were born in the late 90s and the early 2000s, I think the culture here has become way more diverse. And I think from that, staff members, teachers, everybody has embraced that. I think that's what partly makes Mason pretty special. And I think people talk a lot about biggest high school in the state, but I think it's the biggest high school in the state with a lot of diversity. I'm not saying they weren't open-minded in the late 90s, but I think it was a different cultural context then, right? Because you were kind of still a farm community, a rural community. Like if you went out to Amish country or something like that, it was still trending that way. And then all of a sudden, things just expanded. And so as a staff, right, the more different types of kids and families that moved in, then you had to you started to be welcoming to all, and then all of a sudden, now we're at a place where we have tons of diversity. A lot more adapt to deal with all the differences. Whether you are a non-English speaking student, whether you came from overseas, whether you were born here, whether you moved here, whether your parents wanted a better opportunity from you, maybe you lived in downtown Cincinnati and they wanted to move out here, all sorts of things have happened. Now you have 80% of the kids at Mason going to a 4-year school, and you got, let's say, 14% going to a 2-year school. It wasn't like that before. Maybe it was 70%, 67%. So as that trend has changed, then we've had to adjust to help the new goals that kids have to go to, maybe school versus, be a farmer, let's say.
Yeah.
Opportunities at Mason have changed in general, even over the years that I've been here as a teacher. Definitely since I was a student, just based on availability and resources that we have. I think it's really cool that no matter what interest you have, you can start a club, you can start a group, and 99% of the time there's going to be a teacher who has that same interest, who's going to be invested in it as well. We started with a much more basic structure than Schoology. A site called Edline didn't have the capabilities of Schoology, so now we've moved on to something that's a little bit more user-friendly, both from the student and the teacher and the parent end. Our entire lives are based in technology, and so as students go through their day, whether it's here at school or it's at home, technology is a piece. So learning to navigate different types of systems, seeing how different teachers set up their pages, I think is a good experience for students. In terms of improving learning, it definitely gives a variety of modes for students to learn.
I think we've become a little bit more competitive. I mean, that you guys as kids thinking you have to, keep up with the kid next to you, those kind of things, I think that's what's troubling to me as a teacher, that I wish the competition aspect wasn't there. I took the ACT. I didn't take the ACT, and then when 1979, 1980, I took the SAT one time. And did I study for it? No. So you're just that old stress of, college and, trying to get there quicker. I think that's one of the biggest changes in education over the time that I've seen, is the push down knowledge, the trying to get there quicker, that kind of thing, I think has created undue pressure and stress I wouldn't change a thing about this environment and what we've grown into. I think it's a pretty good place. That's what I try to tell the kids that I teach. I said, you have everything here. I mean, every type of club, every type of, it's not just like like if whatever you're into, there's one or two of you. There's 20 to 30 of you. There's so much out there that you can use, and different types of things are available. And obviously, it's what your generation, what the kids are into. So as a teacher, I'm a dinosaur pretty much. You have to adapt for sure with the technology. That's been the biggest thing over the last years of teaching, is the technology aspect. There's so much out there that you can use, and different types of things are available. And obviously, it's what your generation, what the kids are into. So as a teacher, I'm a dinosaur pretty much. Like I said, I fought for this. My wife said I had to get one, so I got one. But you have to adapt for sure with the technology. That's been the biggest thing over the last years of teaching, is the technology aspect. Even for like I said, for PE, we're trying to use it, and the kids enjoy it. I think the mental, aspect of it all is different than when I went to school in high school in the 70s and college in the 80s. It's way different. I think a 15-year-old kid's a 15-year-old kid, whether it was 1995 or 2022.
I wanted to thank Mr. Affatato, Ms. Verstreate, and Mr. Popovich for letting us see a glimpse into what they've seen in the past 20 years. I'm Annabelle Geiser, NBC News.